Okay, I'd like your attention because this is something that is quite important when you're going to be moving from an entity diagram into the database creation. So let's imagine, I'm talking about the case now where we're talking about how to deal with the relationship which is one-to-one. The remote is not working. I don't know how to. There's no even switch. Oh. Okay. So because in this kind of relationship, I'd like you to understand one, because I don't think that we've went through some example of this kind of relationship one-on-one, and let's understand what kind of information we might find in that. Let's think about this kind of scenario. Let's say we have a customer. Okay, in the customer we might be having a lot of different information. Let's say like the main ones. We would like to have his ID, and then his name, and then whatever, let's say his phone number and email. These are like the main things that all our customers are going to be having. However, for some of the customers, we would like to have some extra information. I don't know, some extra, like extra details about, let's call it details customer. So this kind of, what kind of details customer? Oh, I don't know. Let's just first of all give it like this table. Let's put an ID, and then we would like to, sorry, address, for example. I didn't understand what you said. Bonus? What kind of bonus? I mean, like discounts, something that you can give them. Okay, whatever. Some of them they have some special discount, for example, and website, for example, if they have like a website, you can have like another email address or phone to whatever, you get the point. Email to, for example, something like that. First of all, why don't we just put everything in one place? Exactly, because most of our customers are not going to be having all these details, but just for some would like to be able to store those details. If we put everything in one table, we're going to be having a lot of null values, which is going to take some space anyways. But can we do it better? Well, yes, let's create another table and then just link it. Actually, if we need to have more information about a specific customer, then we have to then create this relationship. So let's say customer number 1 is going to be having some name, phone, and number, and then if we would like to have some details about this customer number 1, we put again details of customer number 1 and everything. However, this number 1 should be referring to this one over here. So that's why, I mean, there are different kind of, I mean, this primary key should be a foreign key. We cannot have a detail of a customer that we don't have, like the basic information of him at all. So this should be a foreign key actually. So let's do something like this. A foreign keys, let's create one that references the table customer, and this ID is going to refer to the ID. So as you can see now it turns red because this is like a foreign key and it's also a key. So that's the kind of relationship when we say 1-1. Why we say 1-1? Because it's 1-to-1 normally. Okay, so let's get back. So that's why there are the different kind of approach. Either you put this foreign key approach, which is what we did, or a merged relationship. Okay, say no, you know what? I'll just put them in just one table. I'm not going to be having. I'm going to be having very few that are going to be null. So it's okay. It's better to have, like, for the simplicity, have one. It's quite a decision that you need to be doing. A cross-reference or relationship relation approach, which basically I'm not sure what this is, but I think probably you might include some, if you have, in some cases when there are okay, let's just, I lost my ID. Let's go back and create the ID, the primary key. So you might want you might want to have something like this. In some cases, you might want to have more details about the same customer, more entries about the same. It doesn't make sense for this case, but you get the point that if I put a table between them, what is going to be the result? That means customer number 1 can have detail number 1, customer number 1 can have detail number 2, detail number 3. You can have like more of these linked together. So depending on your situation, on your situation, you're going to be choosing one of these techniques. But most of the time, 1-1 generally is the kind of relationship that you end up having something like this. Most of the time, when you have like this is like the main table, but for some of your records, you might want to have extra information, so you put it like that. So that's why they call it like 1-1-1. So this is the how to deal with that case. Then when you have one too many, well, let's have a look at some of the examples that we've been working on here. Just let's have a look at which one is one too many, for example. Employee dependent. Well, this is one of them. Department project is another one. Employee works for a department. And department which manages them. This is like one. Department employee. What do you mean? Department employee. Which relationship? You're talking about this one or that one? Works for. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, exactly. So this works for. So this is an example of the kind of relationship when we have one and many. We're looking at the maximum again. When we're talking about the relationship and the mapping, how to decide how this is going to be inside of in the database, the tables, how they are going to be created, and how the relationships are going to be implemented, you don't look at the minimums. The minimums are not used for that purpose. So we look at the maximum. What is the maximum that we can have? If we have this 1-1, it means that these are going to be just merged to link to each other, a key to a key. If we would like to have like this kind of one-to-many, they're going to be a foreign key somewhere. But now we have this employee and department. Which one is going to be holding the primary, the foreign key? Let me tell you. First of all, I'd like to go back here. So let's say that this is. Now let's delete this. Keep. And let's just rename this to something like employee, and this is like our. Okay, so this is employee, this is department. So whatever. So now we said that an employee. How to read this again? One employee. Now let's look at this work for example. Because marriages is 1-1. We'd like to have like one too many. When we say one too many, we don't care about are we starting from the department or starting from the employee. It doesn't matter. There's one from one side and many on the other side. So that's what we're looking for. So one employee works for one department, and one department has many employees. So now I need to put a relationship between these two. Where the foreign key is going to be? In employee or in department?
The foreign key would be in the department.
In other words, am I going to be having, please? Am I going to be having employee ID inside of this department? Or department ID on the employee? The opposite, yeah. Which means one department can have the name and then we have one employee that is in it. Then how can you be having like more than one employee inside that department? Department number 1, its name is research and development, blah blah blah. Employee number 1. I would like to add another employee to that department. It's not possible here. I cannot have department number 1 again as another record because number 1 is a primary key, so it's not possible. So no, it should be here. So when you have this relationship, the n is going to tell you where the foreign key is. Because now we have employee, that's his ID, his name, whatever, and then this is the department he's working on. And then we can have department number 1 for many employees, which is what we want. So again, so when we have one too many, then we need to identify the relation that represents participating entity type of n side, and then include the primary key of each entity as a foreign key in the other one s. I mean, that's the s here is confusing. What do you mean single? S for single? I don't think it's about that. There's something probably they just mentioned before that I just skipped. I don't get it. Anyways, what I mean is that when you have like a relationship, the one that has many needs to be having the other one, the foreign key. Because the other way around, it will not work, basically. If I have here employee ID and I don't have the other one, so if I get inside and like to insert something, well, it's going to be very difficult to insert more than one employee. It's actually going to be actually impossible. So let's say I'm inside of department now. So the ID number 1, it has a lot of information, but then where is the employee ID? I don't have it. I don't know why. Let's just cancel. Refresh. Yep. So department number 1, name, research and development, and then phone number, email, and then whatever. And then the employee ID, I have 1. If I'd like to enter another employee ID for this research and development, first of all, it's impossible because this is a primary key. I cannot have a duplicated entry. Plus, it's going just to have like a lot of repetition for nothing. Just in order for me to have 2? No, it's not. That's not the case. So I need to put it in a different way. I need to put in the one that has many. So this is the one that holds the foreign key. Which makes now more sense, because if I'd like to enter the information about an employee, I'm going to say employee ID number 1, etc., etc., and then department ID number 1. And then another employee 2 is also working for number 1, which is okay. As long as this number 1 exists in the table department, that's fine. So this is how we deal with that. Cancel. Okay, the other scenario is to have this many to many. When you have many to many, which means, let's have a look at this diagram again. Let's close this. An example of many to many is that this works on, for example. An employee works on many projects, and a project is worked on by many employees. So let's go and leave employee and then cancel. Delete. Let's delete, don't save. And let's name this project. Now, because we have many to many, we cannot put any one of the primary key inside of that. Because if I put like a primary key here, it will not be enough. For example, if I put something like this, that means I can have in one project one employee ID. So I can have one employee working on many projects, because I have project number 1, employee number 1. Project number 5, employee number 1, which is fine. Which means that this employee is working on many projects. But I don't have the other one, which means many projects have many one project have many employees working on them. It seems like this every project there's only one employee working on it. So whenever there's many to many, there's no questioning that you're going to be having to put in, except that you have a table between them. You create another table. In that table, the minimum thing to have is the foreign keys pointing to each tables. Both of them are the primary key. Both of these are the primary key. So if you look here, we have one primary key that is made of the two columns. If we go here, each column, for example, if each one is pointing to the right table, so this is pointing to project and this is pointing to employee. So that's the rule when you have many to many. That's the only way. And I say this is the minimum number of columns of columns because you can have more. For example, you'd like to, if you look back to where it is, here you can see that this hours here is an attribute of the relationship, which means it's not an hours of a project, but not an hours of an employee. It's an hours when an employee works on a project, and we would like to know how many hours he worked on that project. So then, this is where this hour is going to be. I'm going to be having this hours here. Comes 7. No, there's nothing that is going to be filled automatically. When you would like to save something, if you prepare a database, a front end of this database, a graphical user interface, well, you have to prepare a query that is going to be inserting this inside this table. So the kind of user interface you'll be having like a job. I don't know how to show that. Let's. I don't know what to do to draw things. Let's start some software. In your user interface, you're going to be having something like, I don't know, let's like a Dropbox, drop-down list, which is the project. You select the project. Okay, it's not really. Let's just make it better. And let's brush and let's make it heavy. Okay. All right, you're going to be having something like this. All right, so this is like a drop-down list for the project. Imagine that's a P for project. And then if you click on it, you're going to see all the projects that are in the stored or the database. And then you're going to be selecting another one, which is for the employees. So it will just select all of these, and then you have somewhere that says this is the hours, and that this is like a small text box with the hours. And then you're going to be selecting this because it needs to be already existing. You're not going to be putting something that doesn't exist in the database before, because we said this is a foreign key. Same thing for the employee. You select just the employee that is already in the database, and then you input the number of hours, and you have some kind of OK button or save that is going to be saving this. So you need to do it yourself. There's nothing that is going to be filled automatically. The only thing that you can manage automatically is just when you go to these foreign keys, you can select if you delete, is it going to be on cascade or not. So if you update on cascade and things like that. So this is the only thing that you can manage, which means if you delete an employee, everything that is related to the employee should be deleted as well. This is the kind of thing, automation, that you can do. But besides that, you have to do it yourself. By default, actually, it's I think it's no action, which is not going to be doing anything. So going to be preventing you from doing it. So these are the main things. We said you have like one-to-one, and generally this is the kind of, I wanted to give you some examples of what kind of one-to-one you might find. You have one-to-many, which is quite common, very often you're going to see that. And then you have many-to-many, which is going to be representing the details. And by the way, if you go back to the assignment,
Can I ask
yes.
What if we
What do you mean one-to-many from the other side?
Well, instead of creating many-to-many,
Okay.
you can
Oh,
create-
okay. Your point is, let's just not create that and have no like this, and then same thing again like this,
Exactly.
right? Okay. So now let's put some values and see how this is going to hold. Now, if we have like a project, we have project number 1, whatever it is, then we have employee number 1. How would you say that this? What is the meaning of this employee ID? How are you going to understand this one?
Well, by filling the other table,
Well, first of all, just okay. I'm going to fill the other table, but let's say this one here. What does this mean?
this means that department 1 has
I'm talking about project. Okay, project 1
has employee number 1.
has an employee number 1.
Or employee 1.
One employee. Okay. Okay.
We can execute all the select and.
Okay, fine. Let's just accept it as it is and say that it has one employee 1. Okay. What about this, for example? Now we have employee 1, and then you have a project ID number 1, and you can have like employee 2, project ID number 2, employee 3 also number 1, for example, employee 4 number 1 again. So now we can have like this one employee can work on many projects. Or do we?
Yeah.
Now what we're saying, basically, if an employee works on one project, he cannot work on any other project. But an employee can, a project can be worked on by many employees. But an employee, can he work on more than one project?
Maybe in the other table.
How? Here? How can you say that? You can say, oh, okay, I can put project number 2 and again employee number 1. Yes. But what if also project number 2 has employee number 2 working on it too?
We can extract it from the other table.
Okay, if you go to the other table, you are missing something. Employee number 2 is working on 2 and would like to also employee number 2 to be working on 1. How can I put it? Not here. Not here. Project number 2 is have an employee 2 working on it. So it will not do the purpose. So the only way is to have a table in between that is going to be making the relationship. And again, over here, this sale details is an example of many-to-many from sale and customer, because a customer can have many sales or can do many sales, we can record many sales of a customer, and one sale can have no. So it's not about that. So about sale and product. A sale can have many products. A sale can contain many products, and one product can be on many different sales. I can sell a phone to many people. So this is this sale and product has many-to-many. That's why we had to have these sale details, which include these two forming the primary key of this new table, which each one of them is a foreign key pointing to its respective table. ID sale to sale, ID product to product. What about these ones? These are attribute relationship attributes, because these are needed only when there's a relationship between a product and a sale. We'd like to know how much of that product in that sale and what's the price of that product in that sale. So that's the idea that I wanted to share with you regarding this